Okay, I want to try to break something down here. I love America. I love our republic. I think that we've been the greatest and the freest country in history. Our system hasn't been perfect, but it's been heads and shoulders above all others. The inventiveness, the rugged individualism, all of it. It is the example of the world. And because we had liberty, great wealth came to this country. And our nation fought other tyrannies and was a leader in standing up against evil. And so we became the good guys of the world. But that allowed powerful offshore corporate interests to come in to set up the CIA in 1947, to be given total secrecy, and to basically take over the government from within. Kennedy tried to reverse it, and they murdered him. But still, they call it a conspiracy theory after they've now released the Jackie tapes with the famous historian that recorded her right after saying the government killed Kennedy and she knew the details. We have the lawyers to the vice president coming out and saying it. We have the mistress of the vice president who became president. We have the head hitman, E. Howard Hunt, who ran hitman operations for the CIA, killing world leaders worldwide on his deathbed, audio and video. We've aired it here, premiered it here. Coast to Coast premiered some of it, and then we premiered the rest of it. On and on and on. 92% of Americans now believe the government killed Kennedy. But that's not really accurate. Criminal rogue elements. If somebody hijacks a milk truck and uses it as a weapon, it isn't the milk company that did it. Just because a hijacker's wearing a 707 or 747 uniform doesn't mean they're really the real pilot. It's this co-opting, the criminal elements that run this government orchestrated 9/11. We know the official story is a lie. Now, does that mean that there aren't terrorists, people that are resisting Western forces in the world? No, there are. There are real people that bomb things and shoot people. It happened today in Afghanistan. 77 U.S. troops wounded in attack on Afghan base. And it's funny, the Taliban in their statement said, we take credit for this, but not the September 11th attacks, and basically went on to say that was the work of the New World Order. Isn't that interesting? You know, the Taliban at the time said, and there's different groups of Taliban. It's like saying Christians took credit, or, you know, Alabamans took credit. Everybody in Afghanistan was Taliban, basically. And there were different camps. And they said, show us the proof, we will give you Osama bin Laden. And then a tape was put out with bin Laden saying he hadn't done it. But then other tapes were put out, which have been voice scanned and voice printed by major universities, and are not Osama bin Laden. I mean, when a government will lie to you over and 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 over, and stage the Gulf of Tonkin to get us into Vietnam, attacks on our ships, it's declassified that our government with NATO carried out hundreds of bombings in Europe under Operation Gladio. I mean, go pull it up. It's mainline history. I'm talking about blowing up school buses because their favorite target is to kill kids to then blame their enemy with it. It's called waving the bloody shirt. WikiLeaks 3 years ago. You can just type in WikiLeaks, Army Field Manual, false flag. It'll come up. And the government said, yeah, that's a real manual. And we're going to charge with espionage whoever released this. The Pentagon didn't come out and say, no, we don't teach Army captains and above who are in special operations groups how to stage terror. They said, we're going to find out who released that, and they're going to prison. Listen, I've had a lot of family who are Army officers and others. If I go to a family reunion, there are so many people that have served in intelligence, it'd make your head spin. And they'll all tell you, the government is as crooked as a dog's hind leg. They run the narcotics. They run the murder operations. They run it all. That's criminal, very small elements. They are illegitimate. Now, does that mean there aren't Muslim extremists? Absolutely not. There are extremists of every group out there. But I want to be clear here with this. This is a big deal. I've talked about it all week. On Monday, or actually Tuesday morning, in Town Hall, WorldNet Daily, and over 100 newspapers nationwide, over 100 carry Chuck Norris's column. Chuck Norris came out. What was the headline? Pull it up, Jaron. I forget the exact headline. 10 years after 9/11, our government is enabling terrorists. And the first party says Alex Jones has put out reports detailing this, and he links to it. And he gets into Anwar al-Awlaki hanging out at the Pentagon, and Anwar al-Awlaki's records being protected by the State Department for his, quote, privacy. And he gets into why is our government funding Taliban and al-Qaeda? Why is the government giving al-Qaeda Libya? I mean, in charge now is a known al-Qaeda. There it is. Chuck Norris, Fed still enable terrorists. 10 years after 9/11, Town Hall. Now, Chuck's been on the show many times. He says he's been listening 16 years, since I got on the air. But still, off air, he'd say, Alex, I know you think these things, but I just can't believe it. I just think, you know, more, and I'm going to try to get a hold of Chuck. Chuck's basically come out and said, something's going on here. Look, when the number 3 in al-Qaeda is hanging out secretly at the Pentagon 2 weeks after 9/11, and then al-Awlaki's running the Fort Hood shooter, the Christmas Day underwear bomber, the Times Square bomber, the shoe bomber, a SWAT, it came out in the London Telegraph and Fox News, admittedly, who ran the 7/7 bombings, is MI6, that's British CIA, and is protected and did command the attacks. And it comes out, nobody gets in trouble. They have got master criminals, and they've got a perfect pool of basically naturally mind-controlled people. They can go to these poor villages of people oppressed who have no future, can't even get enough food to eat, and they say, I will pay your family $100,000, go do this. But the guy commanding them, it isn't double agents or triple agents, or, because I've talked to high-level FBI agents on and off air, retired and current, and they go, I know, Alex, it's like they've got moles everywhere in government. No, you got it backwards. The corporate criminals have moles at the top. They run it. So what you've got to understand is in even most of these suicide attacks, the money leads right back to Western intelligence. If you don't believe me, please take notes. Type in Israel created Hamas, 1973. You'll get Haaretz, Jerusalem Post, UPI. This is not me. And then read why they created it. You see, this is the military-industrial complex is the same everywhere. It wants war. It wants more power. And it will go out and create an enemy so that it can get the trillions a year and take over society and set up checkpoints all over the country and overthrow the Bill of Rights and then get taxpayer money to fund all of it. What did Rumsfeld say? I'll tell you when we come back. I want to play our Man on the Street Building 7 piece here in a moment. But to illustrate the point of what I'm covering, Human Events on Friday did an interview with Donald Rumsfeld. And in case you're doubting their headline, you can go listen to the interview below where the reporter talks to him. And Rumsfeld, here's the headline, attack imminent if Congress cuts defense. And he said, if any cuts are made, there will be another attack. If we make this mistake, we're doomed to suffer another attack of some kind, and our intelligence will be less strong and less effective. It's very simple. You know, the Soviet Union is gone. They need a new threat. And this is a full-spectrum threat that can never be defeated, is shadowy, and you can frame anybody you want. You can get rid of the Bill of Rights, the Constitution. Did you know that in every major city in the United States, they ran huge checkpoints and randomly searched people's cars? D.C., New York, Boston, Dallas, Los Angeles. But the borders are basically wide open. And the underwear bomber, and I told you this a month and a half before the State Department admitted it. That's how good our intelligence is here. that the U.S. government got the underwear bomber on. He was so drugged he couldn't talk. When the witnesses we had on, who were on the flight with him, said the sharp-dressed man, without a passport, without anything, got him on the plane. People at the gate were like, well, no. And the person's like, basically national security. And they were like, okay. Let me say that again. Kurt Haskell and his wife, and now we learn others, witnessed him gotten on the plane. They witnessed the firecracker, all of it. And the FBI came and tried to get them to change their story, basically. They wouldn't. And then the State Department got freaked out and said, the undersecretary said, yeah, we were ordered to get him on the plane. We were ordered to give him a visa. And he didn't have a passport. Yes, we were ordered by an unnamed U.S. intelligence agency. And then they always spin it. Oh, well, I'm sure they were tracking him and wanted to know who he was going to meet with. Bull. 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 The guy that ran all these people, the cutout name they think they're talking to is Anwar al-Awlaki. Every time they're run by a government agent. Did you hear me earlier? You can type in Israel founded Hamas or type in Israel created fake al-Qaeda and staged bombings. And you will get the Israeli newspapers, not me. This is in the Israeli news. The Israelis get angry. The population does about this. Every time there's about to be a peace deal or something, they either let a group do what they're planning or they actually go out and do it themselves. This is in the Israeli news. Don't tune in and just say I'm making that up. Remember, we were conspiracy theorists till 2004, the 40th anniversary of Gulf of Tonkin, got us into Vietnam. Declassified, it was staged. Of course, we were never conspiracy theorists. It was in the San Diego newspaper when the ships came back 6 months later, and one of the captains got off and said this was all staged. I can't morally go along with this lie. See, what you think a conspiracy theory is because it becomes a rumor because people lose the original source documents. It's like a game of telephone. And see, I didn't record the news saying they were going to blow up Building 7 on 9/11. And I was just telling people for about 2 years, and callers were like, yeah, I saw that and heard that too. But only if you'd heard me and seen me. Then, because the internet got so much faster and saving things got so much cheaper, all the old recordings started getting put out. Government made mistakes, re-aired their coverage from CNN. Remember, on one of the anniversaries, they just aired the same day stuff again. People were like watching cops going, get back. They're going to bring down 7. We've been ordered to get you back. They're about to blow it up. And the firefighters going, you saw the lava, molten steel. There's no way Jet Fuel did it. You saw the bombs going off. It was popping out. Boom, boom, boom. Remember all those clips we played to you over and over and over and over again? Now, I told you I'd tell you what Rumsfeld said, and then I'm going to play this clip and then go to your calls. Rumsfeld, attack imminent if Congress cuts defense. Now, how transparent does it have to get? I remember 4 years ago, 5 years ago, there was a big scandal with all of the Big Four network military commentators. And it turned out they were secretly still on Pentagon funds. Some of them were getting paid up to $500,000 a year to put out certain messages, talking points. We learned with one of them, with a general, he gave the interview in Cigar Aficionado. It came out that he'd been told to go out and talk about how martial law might be needed. What was the commander's name in Iraq? He's from Texas. He gave the Cigar Aficionado interview. It'll pop in my head in a minute. The point is it's a tape of all these guys in the room. This was released by the Pentagon, strangely enough. And they're going, Secretary Rumsfeld, we need another attack. You know it. And remember all the neocons wrote editorials saying another 9/11 attack would really be great, became a big controversy. And now all these Obama memos where he's being advised, sir, you must have a new attack if our agenda is going to get through. Sir, we need one. Tommy Franks, that's right. Thank you. Even Michael Savage and Glenn Beck have had to go public and say they're getting ready for a new Reichstag. Because if you're in advertising, if you're in media, you know what a talking point is. I don't follow talking points. But if you're in a big corporate organization, you get them. And it's the talking points. Ladies and gentlemen, somebody's... I'm thinking about making a film just about this, or because it takes a lot of research, or a short film just on the timeline within 5 minutes on every news channel in the world. They all have the same talking point. British leaders, Israeli, U.S., French, all of them.